So I was hoping, kind of leading up to this game, that I'd be able to do this whole extended thoughts thing after I play Ground Zero, so I can throw out some speculation about the story and what all the plot means, and do this all the really cool things, like really people who are really into Metal Gear can really understand and like really sink their teeth into. So I can talk about all this stuff, and just kind of nerd out about the story and all these cool little things that Kojima put in there that we could just nerd out about. But there's honestly nothing there to nerd out about. Narrative-wise, there's nothing here. And if you play the Metal Gear games just for the storyline and narrative, which frankly I think a lot of people do, I mean, it's a fantastic story, I absolutely love it. Ground Zeroes adds so very, very little. I mean, like, the entirety of Ground Zeroes could have just been an opening cutscene for the Phantom Pain. And that's pretty much what all it is, for the record. Like, all the story bits you could possibly get from this, there's only one important moment in it, and it happens right at the end of the Ground Zeroes main mission. And that could have just been the opening cutscene for the Phantom Pain. Without getting into spoilers, basically all Ground Zeroes really does, after a bunch of gameplay stuff, not a bunch I shouldn't say that, some little gameplay stuff, all Ground Zeroes really does is basically show you why Big Boss ends up in a hospital, like they showed at the beginning of that Phantom Pain trailer. That's all it really does. Nothing else is really poignant or clues or anything else. Which is really disappointing to me, because I thought it was going to be like this kind of cool standalone thing where, like kind of its own self-contained prologue leading up to the Phantom Pain, which had its own arc and everything, but it doesn't. It's over before it gets started, and it barely starts. And that's all the Ground Zeroes really is. It feels like kind of an apology letter from Hideo Kojima saying, sorry this is taking so long for us to get this game out. Enjoy. Eat it up, minions. It worked. I bought it. I bought a PS4 for it. That's how much I was excited to play Metal Gear. I bought a PlayStation 4 just so I could play Ground Zeroes. Which it looks awesome on PlayStation 4, by the way. I'm sure it looks good on Xbox One too, but whatever. It looks great. Like, the most impressive thing I found about it was actually the super smooth frame rate. Like, it was running at 60 frames all the time, and that was awesome. That was bizarre to see in a Metal Gear game, so that was cool. But this whole idea of using glorified demos to kind of build up to the main game is not new, but it has been done better before, and that's what it got me thinking about. Dead Rising 2 from Capcom had a demo that you could download or purchase the full game, and the full game was a prologue to Dead Rising 2. It's called Dead Rising 2 Case Zero. And what was cool about that is that it set you in a completely different area that wasn't in the Dead Rising 2 game at all. You had your own list of objectives, your own items, and the stuff that you do in there and level up, chuck, and all that will carry over into the Dead Rising 2 main game. And what was cool about that is that you could download the demo of that and still get a taste of the gameplay, or you could purchase the full game for like, well, I want to say like $10. What was it? No, I think it was $5. It was stupid cheap. Like, stupid cheap and absolutely reasonable. And then you can still get like its own full game that was worth a few hours. That, to me, was actually a really good idea, and I'm really surprised that's not something that they really followed up on and did more of, because that's something they said that they wanted to do with other games, and they never really did. So Ground Zeroes, to me, kind of seemed like that's what it wants to be, and it does say you unlock a few things for the Phantom Pain. I don't know what. There's no way it's going to be worth it. But anyway, Ground Zeroes is $30. $20 digitally. And I did play for, I got like over 5 hours out of it, just because I kept replaying the same stuff on hard and trying to find all these extra bits or hidden things or whatever. But even after that, I can't justify the $30 price. I really can't. And that's the biggest thing. Like, it is really way too much for it. Again, if you can find it for $10 or less, yeah, you'll probably enjoy it. But your best option is to let one of your idiot friends buy it first and then borrow it from them, or go to Redbox or something, or just rent it. Because after a day, you're done with it. Unless you really, really care about getting high scores and S rank and being on top of leaderboards, which I don't, and a majority of people don't, you're not gonna really care. And a lot of the defense I kind of see about Ground Zeroes is that, oh, well, sure, the main game's only an hour, but you can do all of these extra side missions and side objectives and stuff. You can. Let's talk about those and how stupid they are. They don't really benefit you in any way, either in terms of gameplay, mechanically, or narratively, other than it's just a thing to do to make you feel like you're getting more out of your game that you paid money for. For example, in the main Ground Zeroes mission, one of these side objectives that you can do is save some prisoners, which is fine, but basically what saving prisoners consists of is picking up a prisoner, throwing him over your shoulder, and running into a safe spot so your helicopter can pick him up. 9 times, back and forth. That doesn't feel substantial to me. That feels like padding to make you run back and forth a lot more, just to maybe do something to make you feel like you're getting anything out of it. And what does it do for you? It adds like 5,000 points to your score at the end. I don't care about that stuff. I never did. I do enjoy playing it on harder difficulties when I'm playing Metal Gear. I was never one who was all like, I'm gonna do a big boss run mode. No stealth, no kill, no spots, no whatever, minimal time. I never played it that much that I got to that point. I love the crap out of the Metal Gear's gameplay, but I also enjoy the story so much more, so whenever I play those kind of games, I just say to myself, come what may, I'm not going to try to do certain things or certain ways. If stuff happens how I was playing it, then I'll have to handle and deal with it, instead of trying to intentionally play a certain way. Like trying to kill everyone, or try to put everyone to sleep, or whatever. I just do what was natural to me at the time. Anyway. So the side objectives they're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. And people are trying to use that to say, well, that makes the game longer. But if you think about any other game in existence, every other game in existence, those side things are just kind of expected with the main game. You're paying for the main game's substance, not the main game with side stuff. And that's usually how it is, because not everyone does the side stuff. Not everyone cares about the side stuff, they just care about the main. So that's how you realistically have to look at it. So you are paying $20 to $30 for an hour of gameplay. An hour. That's how long it took me to beat it. An hour. It might have been a little bit longer because of some of the cutscenes, but whatever. So keep that in mind if you're looking at playing Ground Zeroes. Get it cheap, get it free, otherwise it's not worth it. Let's talk about some good things, though. Those cutscenes were cool, though. I actually liked how they really changed up the presentation on them. Pretty much all of them is a long take or a single camera, no cuts, where it's like you basically feel like a person is just floating around them with a camera and like looking back and forth between people talking, and it doesn't really cut or look away to something else. Like it always feels like you yourself are standing right next to a big boss or whoever and just kind of following around with the camera. And it's actually really cool. It felt more immersive. I don't know if I want to use that word, but it was a different way, the most different way Metal Gear has ever displayed their story, and it was actually really, really cool. I liked it. I think it's going to work really, really well, because it gives kind of better reveals and whatnot. Especially, again, that final cutscene where they're returning on the helicopter. They kind of do a cool thing where the door opens up, and it was just cool. I don't want to give away too much. Also, never mind. I can't. No spoilers. Alright. So I actually did like all of that. Another question I actually had a lot of friends ask me, because I've played it before them, was like, oh, well, how's Kiefer Sutherland as Big Boss? He's okay. I don't hate it. I mean, it's no David Hayter doing the Snake voice, but I don't know if it was an intentional direction or if it's just the way Kiefer naturally is, but there are a couple times where it feels like Kiefer Sutherland was doing the same kind of inflections in his voice for Big Boss that David Hayter would use for Big Boss and Snake and all of them as well, which was kind of cool, because I kind of kept a little bit of that character in there. Like, because they have a very distinct way of speaking, not just in the voice, but in terms of delivery and pacing and inflections of certain words. And it felt like a little bit was still in there, which was cool. There are times when Big Boss is screaming or barking orders or whatever that Kiefer Sutherland just sounds like Kiefer Sutherland or Jack Bauer or whatever. That felt more out of place to me, but when he's just kind of doing like his low natural growl or whatever, it did fit. I have a theory about this, by the way, which I have talked about before. I'm going to divulge it now, just because I want to. It's my extended thoughts. I'll say whatever I want. I think the reason that they have Kiefer Sutherland doing the voice of Big Boss instead of David Hayter is because at the end of Phantom Pain, my guess is it's going to lead into the original Metal Gear, and it's going to show Big Boss talking to a very young Solid Snake. And wouldn't it make sense for them to have both the same voice, right? So let's have Kiefer Sutherland being Big Boss, let's have David Hayter being a young Solid Snake. I think that's what's going to happen, and if that does happen, it's going to be awesome. Like, that's going to be so fucking cool. That's what I think. Because why else would David Hayter make such a big deal about not being the voice of Solid Snake? Nobody... That's not something you normally try to make a big fuss about unless you're trying to build something. And Kojima's done this kind of shit before, so I'm not putting it past him. That's what I think. Either way. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland does an alright job. I won't hate it. You'll get used to it. It'll probably make sense in time. The extra unlockable missions that you get are dumb. The only thing I really liked getting out of it is just kind of seeing the what the Fox engine can do, what the game was built off of, because it basically it puts you in the exact same base, nothing has changed, but in like different environment conditions, different daylight settings, just so you can kind of get an idea of like how dynamic what they can do with it's going to be. That's what's going to make Phantom Pain really cool, because that stuff changes all the time. It's going to be super dynamic. It's going to be really cool. Phantom Pain is going to be cool. This is just Konami going, hey guys, Phantom Pain is going to be cool. I don't know if it's going to sell anyone on it, but it's going to be cool. The PlayStation 4 exclusive Deja Vu mission was not as cool as I thought it was going to be honest. Because, you know, I heard, oh, Deja Vu missions, Metal Gear Solid 1 stuff. It's like, oh, did they, like, recreate a small portion of Metal Gear Solid 1 and then you can, like, play through it, but in, like, in the new engine or whatever? No, not the case. Basically, you run around the same base. You were shown, like, 8 or 9 pictures or something, and you have to, like, try to recreate them, which basically means positioning Big Boss at a certain spot and facing the camera at a certain thing. And then, like, all these image flashes happens, and it'll, like, flash an image of the original Metal Gear Solid 1, and then Big Boss or Miller says some quote from that game, and you just kind of go, ha 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 ha, and then you're done. That's really about it. It's just, it wasn't that cool. I don't know about the Xbox One Raiden mission. I don't have Xbox One, so someone else have to let me know if that one's any cool, because I found the Deja Vu mission just kind of eh. It was just, again, probably about getting everything. It was like a half hour of going, hey, I remember that, then actual, again, substance. Which is funny, because that's what they call the Metal Gear Solid 2 special thing. Sorry. You unlock costumes, though. That's what you get for doing all of them and doing a relatively easy quiz both times on normal or hard. Alright, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but anyway. The bottom line is, Ground Zeroes is a fun game. I really did enjoy the gameplay. But the gameplay that's worth your time, in general, unless you like being a completionist or getting the S-rank stuff or whatever, generally the stuff that's worth your time is an hour, 2 hours tops. It's super fun and enjoyable, but that is not enough to justify the current asking price, either digital or physical, of the game. I do recommend you should play it, because I think it's going to give you a good idea of what to expect. But if you're a hardcore Metal Gear fan and you really like the story about it, you can honestly skip this and still be fine going into the Phantom Pain. That's how little narrative was actually added, or story, or whatever. It's just, if it can be summed up in a single sentence, there's not enough there. And that's how I felt about it. That being said, now I have a PS4 and I don't know what else to play on it. So that was a good investment.